Do you remember this? Magic mirror on the wall. Well, hold on a second. Maybe I need to do this. Get ready for my close-up. Magic mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest of them all? Remember that? Did you think it was mirror, mirror on the wall? That's one of those things I have memorized wrong too, because I watched the clip this week, and it's magic mirror on the wall. Who knew? When you look into the mirror, what do you see? I was about to say me too, but not quite the same. You know, some days we might see our best self, right? We might see our best self. Other days, the mirror reminds us of things we'd rather not notice, like wrinkles and white hair and weariness and wrong decisions. It reminds us that we are the problem, yes. But Lent is a time to really look, not just at our appearance, but to look at our hearts, to look inward. And this season is a season of reflection, like the mirror. And the story today with Zacchaeus, or actually, Clark, that is a great pronunciation of it. The scholars, it's probably more like Zacchaeus, actually. But everybody sort of knows it as Zacchaeus, right? We've all been taught that way. In this season, though, is about reflection, and Zacchaeus, in the story we're going to hear today about Zacchaeus and also the blind man, is full of reflection. In Luke chapters 18 and 19, Jesus meets these two people, two outsiders, different from the crowd and different from each other, but they both want the same thing. They want to see. They want to see Jesus. What they don't expect is that Jesus already sees them, and Jesus already sees us. You see, when Jesus was walking towards Jerusalem, remember, we've been in Galilee much of this time, and now Jesus is coming down along the Jordan River, and he's heading towards Jerusalem. And they went down towards Jericho. They traveled along the river because that was a place of safety. And they will get down to Jericho, and they're going to take a right turn to the east. And he's going to begin what is called the Ascent of Adummim. And it's this great mountain range that rises up from Jericho up into Jerusalem. And so he's walking toward Jerusalem down the Jordan River, and the cross is awaiting him in Jerusalem on Good Friday, right? In a couple weeks, we will celebrate that together. And it's already in view for Jesus. He's already focused on that. But on the side of the road, he sees this blind man, and this blind man begins to shout, "Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me." And what do the crowds do? Probably what the crowds would do around here today, right? He tried to shut him up. Be quiet, we're trying to see Jesus. You know, you're just a beggar, they think, and you're not important, you're not worthy, but Jesus stops in his tracks. And he listens and he sees this beggar, this blind man. And when Jesus asks, "What do you want me to do for you?" the blind man simply replies, "Lord, I want to see." And instantly, Jesus says, "Receive your sight. Your faith has saved you." And in an instant, he is seeing. But that's not the end of his story, because Luke says that the man follows Jesus. He decides to become a Jesus follower right there. And he follows Jesus, glorifying God, and he becomes a disciple right there on the roadside. Nothing special. No baptism in the Jordan River. There's no big ceremony. He just becomes a Jesus follower. And what's even more beautiful, I think, is that the crowd who once wanted to silence him, or once was yelling at him, is now joining in his praise of Jesus together. His healing becomes a mirror for them. The healing of the blind man becomes this mirror, so they see his transformation, and it ends up changing them and their attitude as well. So a little further down the Jordan River, we come to the town of Jericho. You remember Jericho with the walls, right? This is the same Jericho. And we meet another guy, Zacchaeus, or as the scholars would say, Zacchaeus. I'll probably say it whatever way comes out of my mouth. And here we meet another guy. This is a Zacchaeus guy. He's a wealthy tax collector. He's not blind, but perhaps lacking vision. And certainly he is unseen by his community in any compassionate way. He was a rich and powerful, yet deeply disliked person. He wasn't just a tax collector, he was the chief tax collector. He was the boss. And for years he had been collecting more than enough taxes so that he could pad his pockets. He can live a life of luxury. It would be as if in our business we took the sale from the cash register, but we also took a little extra. Instead of saying this is $3.50, we say this is $5, and we take the extra $1.50 for ourselves. And over time, he had accumulated great wealth, sort of, I guess, like Odin apparently is, Odin and Adam. You guys need to make some notes, because marriage material, those guys saving that money. I got 2 girls if you want to talk. They'd probably like the younger men. But he was the chief tax collector, the chief cheater. A symbol of his betrayal to his fellow Jews and a collaborator with Rome. A man seen as a crook. And yet he hears that Jesus is coming, and like the blind man, he wants to see Jesus too. But the crowd is blocking his view, perhaps intentionally, maybe even. And so he does something strange for a man of his status. He climbs a tree. This is not quite a tree, but it's about as much as I can climb. A childlike act. It's undignified, certainly for a man in Israel to be climbing a tree, but Zacchaeus doesn't care. He just wants to see. And here's the twist. Before he can even say a word, Jesus stops, looks up, and says, Zacchaeus, hurry and come down. And what does the song say? For I must go to your house today. Yes, I must come to your house today. Yes. Jesus sees him. Got to make that sound when you get above a certain age, I think. Jesus sees him. He doesn't see just his profession and the what it carries along. He sees him, not just his past and how he's cheated people, but he sees Zacchaeus fully and completely, sees him perfectly. And Zacchaeus receives Jesus with joy, we're told. And he makes this declaration. He says, half of my possessions I will give to the poor. The translation in Greek there is a little bit misleading. It's a little unknown if it's meaning will give or give. So we're not sure if he's already giving or he is making a promise to give in the future. But either way, he's expressing a change of heart. He goes, if I have cheated anyone, if I've defrauded anyone, half of my possessions I will give to the poor, or I give already to the poor, and I will pay them back 4 times as much. That'd be kind of a good deal, right? Would you like the tax man to come, give you 4 times as much? Either way, if Zacchaeus is going to give the money back or has already been doing that as an act of response to the grace, either way, Jesus responds, today salvation, Zacchaeus, today salvation has come to this house, for the Son of Man came to seek out save the lost. And just like the blind man, Zacchaeus becomes a mirror for the crowd. They'd written him off. But Jesus reflects something else entirely. Jesus doesn't see his past or his profession, but he sees a man capable of generosity and justice and joy. You see, Zacchaeus went looking for Jesus, but Jesus had already seen Zacchaeus. And that's true for us too. Jesus sees us not as who we are, but as who we can become. Do you hear that? Not as who we are presently, but as who we can become. He sees beneath the surface. Maybe like as we look at the mirror and we see the layers of shame or pride. Well, Jesus sees beneath the layers of shame and pride. And he sees beneath the layers of brokenness and the mistakes and the regrets. And he calls us out by name. And he doesn't need name tags to help him remember. Today we hold up this mirror, not to shame ourselves, but to see ourselves through the eyes of Christ. And Jesus doesn't wait for Zacchaeus to get his act together. Thank goodness, right? He doesn't wait for us to get our act together either. Jesus doesn't wait for Zacchaeus to apologize. He just says, let's go to your house. And it's the presence of Jesus in this situation and with Zacchaeus and the blind man that leads to transformation. So let me ask you again this question from the beginning. What do you see when you look in the mirror? More importantly, maybe what do you think Jesus, or what does Jesus see? Let me tell you what I think Jesus sees when he looks in the mirror at you and me, and when he looks at us. I think he sees the person that you were created to be. I think he sees the potential within each one of you. And I think he sees the chance for change even now, even with all the laundry list of things that you've done. And you can say, well, but Eric, you don't know it all. I know some, and I've lived a lot. We've not all lived the same way, but we all have that laundry list of stuff in our life, right? He sees the person you were created to be. He sees the potential within you. He sees your chance for change. And he says, I must stay with you today. So here's the challenge for the week for all of us. Let's look in a literal mirror. So take a mirror, your bathroom mirror, your bedroom mirror, whatever it is, and ask this question, and just maybe sit and reflect a little bit. Am I living as the person that God calls me to be? Probably, if we're being honest, none of us will be able to answer that in the affirmative fully, right? And that's okay. We're not there yet. We're on this journey together. So ask, am I living as the person that God wants me to be? And secondly, then reflect on what needs to change. And if you're like me, that could be a long list too, right? We're really good at seeing all those things, right? I mean, true. Especially when you get that mirror up close with good lighting. Where'd those bumps come from, right? I was blessed with childhood acne, and now I have these other bumps on my face too that are not acne. Thought I was going to get over that by the time I was 52, but apparently not. So instead of that laundry list that we have of so many faults and flaws that we see, what's just one thing? What's one concrete thing you can do this week? It could be an apology. It could be an act of generosity. Maybe it's a repair to a relationship. What's one thing? And maybe that apology and that repairing needs to be with you. Maybe you need to apologize and forgive yourself for putting undue expectations on yourself. But what's one concrete step that you can take this week to move closer to being that person that God calls you to be in that mirror? Zacchaeus didn't wait till he was ready. He responded. He welcomed Jesus into his home. And so can we. Jesus sees us. He calls us by name. And he wants to come and hang out with us. How will we respond? I hope we'll throw open the doors and welcome him right on in. Amen.